All right, what's going on, y'all? My name is Jay. Welcome back to my channel, Advisor Down Media. Before I talk about anything, I know y'all probably wondering where have I been for the last few weeks. I say that like this. I have a lot of subscribers, even though I don't right now. But I know I've been MIA. Literally started posting a couple of videos, and I've been going ever since. Um, really, I just been kind of getting back in the groove of things. I don't know if you saw my first video I posted earlier this year, but I had surgery at the beginning of the year and my restrictions were pretty much over, I guess you could say like 2.5 weeks ago now. So on that end, I've really just been trying to focus on um, managing my schedule. Work has been a little chaotic at times, and then I'm trying to make sure I stay active and stay in the gym. I have goals that I want to reach this year, and that's part of it. Um, and also just making sure that I cook more things at home and kind of sticking to a diet that's more focused on whole foods. And so yeah, that all that stuff can take up a little bit of time. So I'm trying to get used to it. And then not to mention we just finished Mardi Gras season for this year. And if you've never been to Mardi Gras in Louisiana and specifically South Louisiana, not North Louisiana, but South Louisiana, like the parade schedule is insane. I usually maybe only go to a few, and don't get me wrong, like they're fun. But the Mardi Gras parades last a long time for the most part, and they can be exhausting by the time you finish just a couple of them. So it's yeah, I think that explains why I've been MIA. But I have been keeping up with all the racing and everything that's been going on. Um, Starting with NASCAR, shout out to Tyler Reddick for like probably the best start to a season that we'll see. I mean, the guy won 3 races to start off the year, which nobody else has done back to back to back. Um, and also just again with everything that he went through last year with his sons, I believe he had heart complications, and then obviously he had a winless season. So like, I know he had to leave 2025 feeling a little, defeated. But to start off the year like with, a record breaking 3 wins, I mean that's unbelievable. And I already know. I mean, everybody has seen that. Like people. Um, have already been, running with the narrative that NASCAR allowed him to win or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, I don't think that NASCAR would purposefully allow the team that was suing them last year to win the first 3 races of the year. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great storyline, it's great for the media, and I'm glad it's happened, but I don't think that NASCAR would purposefully go out of their way to make sure 2311 won the first 3 races after they were just suing them a few months ago. So come on, y'all. Um, I think so far, I think the season's been pretty interesting, NASCAR wise. I mean, even though Tyler won the first few races, Bubba has also been pretty consistently running in the top five and the top 10. So it's really good, just good to see 2311 like doing well altogether. Um, I think Bubba is, let me fact check myself really quick, but I'm pretty sure Bubba is still in the top 3 in points. Yeah, he was second in the standings, and now he's third after Ryan Blaney won at Phoenix this past weekend, which was not at all surprising. Um, which let's talk about that for a second because Chevy was like almost non-existent in that race. I mean, you could have just taken the Chevys off the track, with the exception of like Larson, Byron, and surprisingly, I'm gonna say SVG because I think he ran in the top 10 here and there, which I love to see him running in the top five, top tens, even top 15s on the ovals more consistently. But it was like Chevy didn't even show up to the racetrack. It seemed like, I mean, pretty much Ford and Toyota dominated majority of this race. And um, I mean, I think Logano started first. I think he started on pole, and who's right behind him? I think it was Larson that started right behind him. But yeah, the Toyotas ran a pretty strong race. Penske ran a decent race, with the exception of Austin Cindric being taken out in that crash, and Joey Logano just making bonehead mistakes. Um, Literally, if it weren't for Ryan Blaney, Penske probably would have walked away with an embarrassing race day. But yeah, I thought Phoenix yesterday was pretty exciting. I liked to see the Toyotas and Fords battling for the lead. I think NASCAR's been going great so far. I think next week we are racing at, let me see. As you can see, I really didn't prepare any notes for this video because I'm really just trying to figure out a good flow of things. I didn't really think that I'd be on YouTube, or at least trying to post consistently on YouTube. And I don't really have, I guess, a good flow of how I want things to go with my videos. So just bear with me while I figure that out, hopefully over the next few weeks or maybe a few months. Um, but yeah, okay, this week we're going to be at Vegas. So it should be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to it. And before you know it, we'll be at one of my favorite tracks, Bristol. Even though I've never been there myself, that's on my bucket list. Um, but yeah, I think NASCAR's been pretty exciting so far this season. Um, it's pretty refreshing to see Toyota start out so strong, especially after losing the championship last year. Um, which, touching on that for a second, the broadcast this weekend between Kevin Harvick, Mike Joy, and Clint Boyer, like, they were so dramatic. And I guess rightfully so to some extent, but like they were so dramatic with referencing Denny's, heartbreaking loss at Phoenix at the end of last year. But it was like overkill. It was like every chance that they had an opportunity to talk about it, they did. And then when they did, they would use the most dramatic vocabulary, like heartbreaking or gut wrenching or devastating or defeating. It's like, all right, we got it. We suffered enough on that day back in November. We don't need to relive it. Uh, but yeah, so dramatic. But yeah, I think NASCAR's going well. I'm gonna try to do a review for Vegas and hopefully every race for the rest of the season. Um, I'm just, yeah, need to make myself better plan out my weekends and my weeks so that I can actually do this a lot more. But yeah, on the flip side, Formula One also started this weekend, which I was pretty excited for. I've been keeping up with a little bit of the highlights from testing and everything, but yeah, I was really excited to see them back on track, especially because this year they got a brand new car, which is pretty cool. Um, Definitely in the race alone, like I could see just how much smaller these cars are compared to the old cars. Like they seem a lot skinnier, they look a lot lighter. I've heard people talk about the weight on Williams' car. So maybe they aren't the lightest, but overall, I think all the cars look a lot smaller, a lot lighter, and I think to me it seems a little more visually appealing on track, and I'm really excited to see what that means for Monaco this year because obviously it's a pretty tight street circuit, so the old cars did not have the easiest time overtaking because they barely had space to do it, and the cars were big and the track was small. So you pretty much finish where you started in most cases. But this year, I think they should have a little bit more wiggle room to overtake and actually fight for positions. So that should be fun. Mercedes came across with a 1-2 finish, which I think they said they have not done that since like 20, I don't know, 2019 or something along those lines. Um, from what I was hearing about testing, I thought Mercedes was going to look pretty good. So I'm not surprised at that at all, especially after George won um, the pole. But my God, those cars are fast. Like just visual, like looking at them on TV, they look a lot faster, and that could be a visual illusion, I guess, because the cars are smaller too. But like, I feel like I could visibly tell that the cars were like quick, really, really quick. Um, so that was exciting. And then, of course, seeing uh, Charles get away as quickly as he did at the very beginning and like immediately snatch the lead up, that was really cool to see because obviously we haven't seen Ferrari run out front that much in recent years. And not even just out front, but up front in general. But I gotta say, Ferrari does what they did what they do best, and they probably pissed off a lot of their fans because Ferrari would be such a better team if they would just stop fighting themselves. Every time you turn around, Ferrari does something to hinder its own performance or its own finish. Um, I mean, last year we know the car was, mediocre at best, and neither driver was really happy. This year, that seems to be a lot different, which is nice. They have the really cool rotating wing for the, I guess, the DRS replacement, if you will, um, and so it's really cool to see that. And it's nice. It's refreshing to see Charles and Lewis are like actually happy with the car. They want to perform well. Not that they didn't want to perform well this year, last year. It just seems like they're hungrier and more optimistic this year. All right, hold on. That's my chicken. All right, and we're back. And we're back. But yeah, not that they didn't want to perform well last year. It just seems like they are more excited about this car. They're more optimistic about the season ahead, and they seem, prepared to take on the other top teams on the grid. I definitely agreed with Lewis. Ferrari definitely shot themselves in the foot this weekend by not pitting under either of the virtual safety cars. Like, I didn't understand why they didn't take advantage of that. But then also, I guess a little bit further down the line, like a few laps later, Lewis was saying to not pit him because his tires were fine. So I'm like, which one is it? Like, did you want to pit? Did you not want to pit? I was kind of confused by that, but either way, I think he was right initially in saying that like they should have pitted one of their drivers because I think they could have easily gotten both of them on the podium. I think George ultimately still might have finished on top. Um, But I think for sure they could have gotten both of them on the podium, or they could have at least gotten a P2 for Charles. Because right there in the last few laps, I think Lewis had gotten his gap down to Charles like around a second or maybe a little less. So I think honestly, if he had a few more laps, he probably would have passed Charles up. But either way, I think, yeah, they definitely should have pitted. Um, heartbreaking start for Oscar Piastri. Like, if you ask me, this was worse than Isaac Hadjar's crash last year in his debut race. And I only say that because even though Piastri's still pretty young, I mean, he's not a rookie anymore. This is what his third, fourth season starting in Formula One. And he was literally on the verge of fighting for a championship last year. So to come off of a season like that to crashing before the race even starts has got to be extremely embarrassing. But I did feel bad for him. Um, I am interested to know what took place and find out more about what happened there because, like, I didn't even see it. I, I I guess I must have hopped on like right after it happened, but I was yeah that I would not have been able to guess that he would have been the first driver out of the race or the first person to crash, and certainly not before the race actually started. So that was something in itself. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, really, really cool to see Haas get points in the first race this year. Um, Racing Bulls getting points with. All right, I'm going to mispronounce his name. I think it's Arvid Lindblad. Um, Getting points in his Formula One debut. That's pretty cool. Um, which it sucks for Liam Lawson because Lindblad finished P8 and Lawson finished in P13. So, I mean, his teammate already has one up on him and he's a rookie. So, we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But kudos to him for getting points in his first race. And kudos to Audi for getting points in their first race as a team, too. Um, Gabriel Bortoleto finishing in P9. That was nice to see. And then also with Pierre Gasly finishing P10, also good to see for them. Alpine needs a good year. I think if you watch Formula One and if you keep up enough, even with the bare minimum, you know that Alpine needs a good year. There's a lot of people that need a good year, but they need a good year. Um, and Colapinto might need a good year more than the team. But yeah, moving on. It sucked to see so many people out of the race. I mean, Piastri obviously before the race even started. Same thing with Hulkenberg. Um, Fernando had to retire the car as well. I forgot exactly what happened to him in the race, but whatever happened, I didn't think it was serious enough that they would be retiring the car. So I was kind of thrown off by that, but whatever. Also, Isaac Hajar. I'm pretty sure he qualified P3, um, which is great because he started the race a heck of a lot higher than Max. But he had some sort of engine failure. I think the car caught fire, and so that sucks. That sucks for him because I think he could have easily at least contended for a spot on the podium today. I mean, well, not today. He could have easily contended for a spot on the podium. But even if not, he definitely would have finished within the points, probably somewhere in the um, same spot around Max. If I had to guess, maybe P7, anywhere between like P5 and P7. So it's kind of sad to see him fall off. And I'm a huge fan of his, especially after the season that he had last year. So that sucked to see. It's kind of upsetting and disappointing to see Cadillac have not the greatest start to their journey in Formula One. You had Bottas, who didn't finish at all. I can't remember if he was in a crash or had some sort of mechanical failure, but either way, he didn't finish the race. And then Sergio Perez finished P16. I think he was behind by like 3 laps. Um, yeah, not the greatest start to Formula One for them, but honestly, I mean, I think it'll take a minute before we actually get to see their real potential and see what they can actually do. Um, at least they are a Ferrari customer and they have a Ferrari engine, and we can see that the Ferraris are kind of competitive to start out the year. I mean, you had Haas finishing in the points on their first race of the year, so it's possible that they'll do well. I mean, again, it was their first race as a team, so we'll see what the future brings. But yeah, not the greatest start for them, and kind of upsetting to see. Not the greatest start for Williams either, which we know that they kind of missed parts of testing as well. So I'm like, what were y'all doing with all that extra time on your hands? It seems like they don't have a good handle on their car, and I'm pretty sure James Viles spent last year telling everyone that they were focusing all of their time on 2026 and the new car and the new regulations. Um, and now we've gotten to this point, and it seems like they don't really have much to show for it. So hopefully they can turn things around for the rest of the season. Um, Also, while we're on Formula One, I am going to do my best to try and plan out a solo trip to the U.S. Grand Prix in Austin. Obviously, if you keep up with Formula One, you know the only U.S. races that we have are Austin, Vegas, and um, Miami. Um, and so I'm going to try to plan the trip to Austin by myself for the U.S. Grand Prix. I'm probably going to end up driving rather than flying just to save money. My car has pretty good gas mileage, so if I had to guess, well, I probably won't guess with the way gas prices are at the moment. But either way, it'll still be significantly cheaper for me to travel by car than for me to book a plane ticket. So I'll probably be looking into that. But if y'all have any tips or advice for going to my first F1 race, or any tips on traveling there and making arrangements by myself, best places to sit and watch the race solo, anything like that, please drop them in the comments. It would be greatly appreciated. Um, all right, well, that's pretty much all I got for tonight. Like I said, I'm just kind of rambling here. I took notes throughout some of the races. I didn't take notes throughout some of the other races. Um, so I'm just kind of spitting off what I've been thinking about the seasons so far, but I am going to be doing my best to post more consistently, and yeah, just focusing on this so that I can grow my channel, but also just improve it and get better at speaking in front of the camera and producing content. So y'all bear with me. I know things look and sound probably pretty basic right now, but again, I have no experience and I'm just going with the flow. Um, I'll probably be posting again later this week. Maybe I'll try to post again by Saturday night or so. So be on the lookout. I'm finally going to talk about some of the things that are going on in the automotive industry, but specifically I want to focus on Dodge and a little bit of Stellantis too. So stay tuned for that. All right, till next time. God bless.